Hi traders, so this is session 1 of week 1 and it's about designing your journey to full-time trading success. And I want to welcome you to the Fierce10 challenge in 2018 because that's the place where your disappointments, the darkness, the setbacks and the chaos from the past years are well and truly last year's story. And I love this because it's like setting the reset button that I push regularly, where I can begin new over and over again and hence create a brand new ending. And this is really a chance, new chances to start fresh, new chapters that we can begin, new moments that we can create in our trading. And what I see is that most traders, they start out dabbling in the markets. They dream of making million-dollar profits, but they don't map out how to get there, because the reality is that most traders, and I certainly wasn't in that position, we don't start out with the favorable circumstances of actually becoming this kind of trader. But I've seen it being possible, and I know it is possible. It's just about knowing how to get there. And of course, not everybody can make it to this point, but even, if you get close to that goal or the target of $1 million, doesn't even need to be $1 million. Many are happy with $100,000 a year as well. So whatever it is for you, that's what you're going to map out in this training. That's the journey that we're going to walk together. And I'm really, really excited about it. So when we talk about designing your journey to full-time trading success, what we really talk about is goal setting, right? I will teach you how to do goal setting the right way. I have never seen it taught this way. There is so much more to it than setting smart goals, No wonder that so many people fail achieving their goals. And after the session, you will see why. Now, before we get started, I need to read you the general advice disclaimer. Trading involves the risk of loss. This presentation is for educational purposes only and should not be solely relied upon as a recommendation or invitation to enter into a particular transaction or to apply a particular trading strategy. It is also not intended to be a substitute for professional counseling, therapy, or medical treatment, nor it is intended to diagnose or treat any psychological condition. You should not engage in trading unless you understand the nature of the relevant markets, the rules and application of these rules to the strategy or strategies you're trading, the products, and the full extent of your exposure to risk of financial loss. The information contained in this presentation has been prepared without taking account the objectives, financial situations, or needs of any particular client, and because of that, the attendee should, before acting on any information, consider the appropriateness of the information, having regard to their personal objectives, financial situation, and needs, and must seek professional advice. By attending this presentation, you do so at your own will, and in doing so, waive liability to any claims against the host, presenter, and any associated organizations and people. And if you disagree for whatever reason, then now is a good time to step off. But I hope, I hope you keep working together. So, as I said, most traders, they start out dabbling in the markets, and they only focus on getting a trading strategy and learning the skill of trading, but they don't really make a plan on which skills they need to develop, what kind of mindset they have to cultivate, what resources they need to draw on so that they can achieve their dream. And goal setting is all about who we are and who we are becoming so that we can develop the skills that are required to create what we want and we can have what we want to have. That is really the goal of this training. Now, goal setting is really important because what it does is it's helping us to get clear on the context in which we operate and our thinking needs to originate from. So, for example, one of my goals is to be able to climb mountains when I'm 70 years old. Now, this is not a given, right? Not many 70-year-olds can do that. That means I have to put in the work now in order to be that person when I get to 70. And when I don't feel like doing my yoga or don't feel like going to the gym or going for a run, this goal that's out there in the future, that impacts my thinking today. Because if I don't feel like it, I can then draw from my goal in the future and say, well, sure, you don't need to do that. You don't need to do yoga. You don't need to go to the gym, but then you don't get your goal either. It's like my father, who was a dentist, always used to say, you don't need to brush your teeth when you go to bed. You don't need to floss your teeth either. But, you know, only if you don't want to keep them, that's fine. We can give you, we can give you false teeth. That's fun. So you can see how when we put our goals and our thinking and our actions in a bigger picture context, that will really impact our behavior and our behavioral patterns and the actions that we take that either lead us to success or to failure. And I love the be to have principle. The be to have principle, and this is what this is based on. The be to have principle says your goals in the future give you your beingness in the present, what I just explained with the yoga session, and your beingness determines what you choose to do, and what you choose to do in the right now determines what you will have. And what you will have will determine what you then can give back to the world and to the people that you love. Because, you know, I found that at the beginning it was all about me, what I want, what I can get, what I, you know, I want a better life. But when I started to expand my thinking on also what I can give back, what I can give to others, my life really changed. It was really interesting. I never thought that would be the case, but it expands your map. It expands your thinking, and it becomes a driving force that is so much stronger than when it's just all about us. How I am approaching goals, for me, it's more than just setting a goal. For me, it's shouting out loud what I want from life, what I want to create, so that at the end of each day, I feel totally spent and I've given it my all and I feel satisfied. And I know that I have been living the best version of me. And we want to make sure that we don't only spend a lot of time, energy, and resources on creating your trading plan, but also put as much effort into designing your dream life so that your goals don't end up being wishful thinking like anything else. And a mistake that I see a lot happening in goal setting is that traders, they set goals and they don't tend to act on, and that diminishes their self-esteem, it undermines their integrity, and causes even more procrastination and lack of confidence. And what I mean with that is, so the typical losing weight and looking good thing, that most people set as goals at the beginning of the year or when they hit major milestones in their life, like turning 30, 40, 50, and so on. That often is a wishful thinking goal. They wish that they want to look good. They wish that they want to lose weight. And if you look at the actions that they're actually take in their lives, you see that it's not important to them. So they set this goal out and say, I want to be healthy and slim and fit, but they don't do what it takes because it's in conflict with their values in life, which they're not aware of. And then they get upset with themselves. They get down on themselves that they haven't achieved another goal. But what is really important is that we identify what our belief system is, what our values are, really what our whole attitude to life is, and then create goals that are congruent with our values in life and our belief system. And or if we want to achieve goals that are bigger than us, that things that we have never achieved before, we then can use our belief and value system, our attitude, and adjust it according to who we need to be in order to achieve that goal, right? So it works both ways. And that is really exciting because that puts us into a place of power, into a place of taking charge of our lives. And so you will see there's so much more to setting goals there's so much more to goal setting than simply setting goals. Now, why do traders fail to achieve their goals? Number one, as I said, they set these unrealistic goals that are wishful thinking. They also set unrealistic goals in terms of what it is possible to achieve within a short period of time. And I know I was in that category where when I discovered trading, I was convinced that I'm going to have a Ferrari in my garage within 6 months' time. Now, it was partly fault of the marketer, the guy that I bought the seminar for, or that I attended the seminar with. But it was also my naivety, you know, it was also not understanding what it takes. And very often when traders say to me, I want to be $1 million trader, and I ask them, how much is $1 million a month? They have no clue. they have to get the calculator out and actually calculate how much it is. And that shows me that they're living in la la land, that they are having magical thinking. And magical thinking is something that only children apply, right? So that shows me that there's a little bit of work to do for them to grow up as a trader. And again, it's exciting because when we know what the challenges are, then we can easily work through them. Another reason is that traders, they have their goals emotively designed or described rather than specific. So an example is an emotive goal is, and that were my goals when I started. I want to become successful in trading. The second goal was I want to leave my job. The third goal was I will become the best trader I possibly can. And my fourth goal was I wanted a baby blue Maserati. And I wanted to travel the world first class, of course, and have houses everywhere in the world. You know, my family's in Germany, so I wanted to spend 6 months in Germany and 6 months in Australia and, you know, travel South America and live the dream. Now, these are great goals, but they're completely made of candy floss. You know, it's like, you know, fluffy. You need to tie yourself to an outcome, and there is no outcome when I define my goals the way I did. No wonder I wasn't achieving anything, because there was no benchmarks, there was no milestones that defined how I can progress towards my goals. So to achieve your goal, you must first be able to know when it's achieved. And that's why it's important that you have clear and concise lead and lag measures as benchmarks, so you can again take precise steps towards your goals, and you also know if you're on track or if you're off track. Well, to give you a contrast, a specific goal is I will improve my trading statistics by 1% a month. And my second goal would then be I will replace my income through trading and transfer out of my job into full-time trading by you know, the 31st of December 2018, for example. My third goal would be I open a dream car bank account and deposit 10% of any income that I make until I can buy my baby blue Maserati in cash. Now, think of your goal as the outcome you wish to achieve. It must be clear. It must serve you, it must motivate you, it must inspire you. So the difference between motivation and inspiration is motivation is externally triggered. Inspiration is an internal trigger. And if your goals are vague, your results will be vague. If your goals are weak, your results will be weak. So work on it, make it real, burn the boats and start working on it, you know, like a workhorse. And it can be so much fun when you know the path on how to achieving your goals. And I remember, you know, after doing Tony Robbins in 2002, I think it was, when I did the firewalk, so it was such a long time ago. I was so inspired and I wrote all my goals out and I ran along the beach, you know, I was saying, I'm a professional trader. Yes, you know, did my affirmations, and it didn't do anything. I think it did more harm than good because I didn't understand the concept. And I'm pretty sure Tony Robbins explained the concept. I'm not blaming him. It's just I was so busy with my life being in disarray and surviving that I didn't see, I didn't hear the context that he was talking about. And so that's why I'm trying to make it as simple as possible for you guys and help you to walk through it step by step, because that was the bit that was missing for me doing the Tony Robbins seminars. I was trying to work through it on my own, and it's not possible. You know, I always say you can't see yourself from the back of your eyeballs. And that's why even I have, you know, mentors and coaches and aspire to people who are on a much higher level than I am. So yes, that's the context that you need to write your goals in. But what most traders do is it's like putting the destination to your GPS in the car and intending to go somewhere, but to never start the car to get there. They wish to make $10,000 per month, for example, in trading. That's what I hear often when they start off with the goal of making $1 million a year. But they don't create the mindset that will help them to become the trader that can do that. They don't create the structures that supports and leads them to the $10,000. They don't get it, right? So they don't measure, benchmark, and create standards about the implementation. And, you know, they try to do it alone, the lone wolves, which our industry, of course, attracts, because it attracts. The attraction of trading is that you don't need to deal with people, that you can be self-reliant, and that's a big myth, because I found that's how I started out, wanting to do it on my own, alone, because I was scared of people. I had a very low self-image and didn't want to deal with people, but, it only gets you so far. And the moment I started building a support team around me, that's when my life changed. That's when my trading changed. It was really interesting. So, remember, no great venture has ever been achieved by one person alone. It takes a team to create true greatness. And so after you've punched your destination to the GPS, and again, let's say to make 10,000 profits in trading per month, then you must start your car and you get driving. And yes, it's scary. But you need to make also sure that it's roadworthy before you go on your trip, that you fill up, that you know where the petrol stations are on the way, that you can fill up regularly and don't run out of fuel. You have to have the right team of passengers in your car. So if you look at car racing, yes, the race car driver is alone on the track, just him and his car. It's kind of like us in trading, but they have a whole team that supports them. Team that changes the tires, team that fills up the car. They have the coach or mentor or team boss on audio who talks them through and keeps them updated about what they can't see on the track, right? So we need that in trading as well. I can tell you that that makes a big difference. And I think it was the guy from the book Good to Great, Collins, who says, who is on your bus? And there's another great book, it's called Who Packed Your Parachute, right? It's a fantastic book to read. And it's, even though most of us get into the industry because we want to do it on our own, no human is an island. So on your way to your destination, your car may break down, or you need to change your car even. You might need to take a detour down the scenic route, and all that whilst all the time you keep moving towards your goal. And when I talk about taking a detour, what I mean is I see traders who got themselves into financial trouble or into some sort of strife. They resist to do what needs to be done to get them out of trouble, meaning they might need to go and get a $20 an hour job. And, I needed to do that as well at some stage where I stuffed up in another area of my life, wasn't in trading, but, it all went a bit badly and I needed to go back to work. And here was, a trader who had generated, trades that would make $1,000 a day. I had to go back to working $20 an hour. And man, that was so humbling. But I'm very proud of myself that I did that. And I'm very grateful to my coach, Steve Ward, at the time. And, the website, highperformancetrading.com.au is actually inspired by him, because his book is High Performance Trading, and it's one of my favorite books. So I remember Steve, he reframed me so beautifully. He said, no, all you do is you're taking a detour. It doesn't mean that you give up on your goals. And that was such a relief for me. And I went and I worked my butt off and I did all I had to do, working the $20 an hour job to get my foundation back, to get some foundations underneath my feet. And then from that was my my point where I could then go back into trading and rebuild my life to how I wanted it to be. That happens, right? But what was really dangerous in that moment, and if I didn't have Steve, I don't know if I had done a wise decision like that, my ego got in the way. I didn't want to go to a $20 job, $20 an hour job, because my friends knew me as a successful person, and I didn't want to admit that I had stuffed up because I was so ashamed about it, right? But it's life that happens, and rather than hiding from it, which is what I did, we need to just tackle it head on and do whatever it takes. Okay, so if you're in that space right now, just don't worry about it. You get through it. Do whatever it takes, whatever you need to do to get your foundation back so you can continue on your journey in your trading. And also what I find interesting when I go out on trader strengths, so many times I hear traders say, oh, I'm still working, I'm only trading part-time, as if it was something that's to be ashamed of. It's like, no, not at all. Like, be proud of yourself that you're a realistic person, that you do what it takes to take care of your family. It's not a badge of honor to trade full-time. Technically speaking, I don't trade full-time because I'm running a coaching business. And every trader that I know who's mega successful, they also do other things because, you know, life is not just about trading. There's so much more in life. And most of the guys that I know who are successful in trading, they do something that contributes back to society, to other traders. So please don't think that because you work a job that you're a lesser trader, a lesser person. Not at all. If anything else, I have even more respect for you because you are realistic. You do what needs to be done. So go you, go you. Now, the second problem that I see with traders is that they don't have an awareness of what we call cognitive dissonance in coaching. Most traders, they set goals that are far beyond their capabilities to reach that goal in that given time frame. And the reason why they set those big goals is, number one, to appease the ego. So remember, ego is there to protect us. To protect us from feeling bad, from experiencing shame, from experiencing hurt, from experiencing being, what's it called, being ostracized or not loved or criticized or judged. Yeah? So what we do is we set those big goals to placate our pain, to soothe that pain that we have inside. But it's not solving anything. If anything, it makes it worse. And that's why we have to go back to that pain and heal it first. And again, you know, my dad being a dentist, that's a perfect example. It's when you have a cavity in your tooth, you can't put the filling on top because it keeps rotting underneath. You need to clean out that cavity and then put that filling on top, and then your teeth will be nice and healthy and strong. And you need to keep taking care of them. Floss your teeth, brush your teeth, eat healthy, and so on. And it's the same with our life. Now, I think it was Templeton who said traders lose money in the attempt, or traders lose most money in the attempt to avoid losing money. And again, that's the ego trying to protect us. So what is going on here with cognitive dissonance? That's the gap between who you think you are, who you see yourself as, and who you actually are. If we go back to the goal of wanting to lose weight, if we see, or, you know, wanting to be fit and healthy, let's say, and going to the gym, right, being this athletic person, if we see ourselves as someone who can do that, but we don't display that kind of behavior, that's a cognitive dissonance. So if I say I want to lose weight and be healthy, but I eat pizza and sit behind my computer all day working, then my goals and my values and my beliefs are clearly not in line with that goal. And that's the cognitive dissonance. So there's, again, two things that we can do. We either adjust our beliefs and value system, which is easily done, or we adjust our goals. Because, you know what, not everyone has the has really the goal of wanting to be skinny and toned and fit. It's just not important to them. And it's okay as well, right? It's your world. You rock it out. So what is also part of the cognitive dissonance, so this was in the present, right? So who do we think we are compared to who we really are? And then there is one that's compared to your future self and your present self. So who do you need to become so that you can be the trader you want to be, compared to who you are right now? And what does it take to close that gap? And this is what the Fierce10 is all about. So we do an exploration of the status quo. So what is your beliefs? What's your mindset? What are your values? What are you made of right now? And then we work on building that muscle and that mindset for you to grow into the trader that you need to be. And guys, if you had seen me in 2002 when I went to my first Tony Robbins seminar, the Unleash the Power, I was a very different person to who I am today. And I'm very proud of that. So, you know, the bigger the gap, of your cognitive dissonance, the worse the pain. That's when you feel really rotten inside. And that, again, is feedback for you on how much work you have to do and where you have to do that work. Now, the crazy thing is that if you're setting goals and you're consistently not achieving them, that is when you experience the ultimate pain, the ultimate emotional pain. And the way around this is, again, it's creating a step-by-step action plan with milestones and benchmarks, which makes it simpler to take that action and to do what you say you do and to do what you know you must. Because this also prevents you from overcommitting, especially if you're a big picture person, right? Big picture people, the visionaries, they like overcommitting. And the detail people, they are not having big enough goals that makes them grow. So it's not that one is better than the other. It's just one works to a certain level, but not to another level. And we just need to adjust it and balance it out. What I also see happening is that most traders, they spend their days working on their lofty goals with vision boards and writing beautiful goals into the journal and doing journaling, but they don't do what needs to be done, meaning you need to build a structure underneath so that you can ensure that you get your goal. And journaling is not going to do it. Reading your one-on-one self-coaching book is not going to do it, because you can't read a book about swimming. You must get in the pool and get wet and risk drowning and swim. That's the only thing that gets you to where you want to be. So if we look at what it takes to achieve our goals, again, it's more than goal settings. Think about it, our lives, they're made up of moment-to-moment decisions and experiences. What that means is that if I have a moment right now that is not going the way I want it to be, let's say I have a losing trade, and I feel bad about it, then I can create in that moment a new moment that gives me happiness, that gives me confidence, that makes me feel better, that creates the possibility of making a better trade next time. So for me, for example, it is asking someone for feedback on what they think of my trade, so I can learn and grow as a trader. Some people, they use chocolates and beer and pizza to create happiness. Now, that is not very resourceful, not very sustainable, right? But if you feel bad and you go for a run, or you do something nice for someone else, that is sustainable, that is resourceful, and that has a long-lasting impact on your mindset and on your self-worth. Yeah? So wherever you are in your life right now, remember that the next moment, the next minute can be a moment filled with happiness. And when we say we feel life is, right? So life is, if you give it a label, life, when I say, I meet a friend and I say, how are you? And they say, well, life is pretty crap at the moment. That label is based on those decisions and experiences that they did just moments before. And if they say life is fantastic right now, it is usually also based on decisions and experience that we made just before. That means, that is really good news. That means that we can now start to plan what decisions and experiences can we create in the coming next moments, so that when someone asks us in 10 minutes time, how is life, that we can say, it's actually pretty good right now. It's fabulous. Now, setting goals is also about understanding that how you experience the world around you. So is it a scary world? Is trading challenging? Are people thieves and liars? Or are people supportive and loving? So however you experience the world around you, is it from a place of disempowerment or from a place of being at the cause of your life? That will determine the quality of your life. And also how you think the world experiences you. So if you ask yourself, what do people think of you? And if you think that people think that you're a loser, or that you talk too much, or that you're annoying, or if you think that people think that you're a great contribution to the universe, that will also determine the quality of your life. Now, because we can't see the world the way it is, we only see the world the way we are. And that's giving us feedback on what we have to work on our journey to achieving our dreams, if that is, full-time trading, for example. What that means is that the way we experience our world is through our memories and our emotions. And our 5 senses is how we store our memories. So if something happens, we create a memory around that through feeling, thinking, hearing the words that were said, and so on, making mental images of what happened. And then we give that a meaning. And based on that meaning, we create a state. If we feel good or bad, that state, we feel our physiology in our body. We feel we have heaviness in our shoulders, or we feel we have, an upset tummy, or, heaviness in our tummy. So this is how those experiences manifest in our body. And then we go out and want to conquer the world, but we can't. And then we feel better about ourselves because we think we are a loser. So whatever happened like years ago is filtered through all those levels. So we have a meaning of a memory of a memory of a memory, and that still impacts the way we see the world today. And again, that's good news, because we can do something with it. We can release that. We can change that. And that's how we can change, for example, grief. We can change phobia within minutes. It's mind-blowing. It's fantastic. All we need to do is scramble the way the information is stored in your brain. If you, for example, have a belief that you need to be a people pleaser to survive, or that you need to put yourself down, or you need to have to be a perfectionist, so that you're not being judged, that all is part of how you see the world and how you think people see you. And that's just an example. So what I love about goal setting is it's about discovering your ideal self. Who cares where you're at? Who cares if you're fat and stupid and broke? It doesn't matter. You just say, this is my starting point. And from there, I'm going to create and design my ideal life. And we look at maybe what got you to where you're at today, because that's feedback for us. That shows me that you ran a strategy of being fat and broke and disliked very successfully. If you can run a strategy successfully that leads you to those outcomes, I know you can also run a strategy that leads you to making a lot of money, being liked if that is what you want. If you don't want that, that's cool too. And being healthy and fit if you choose to as well. So whatever it is that you want to be as the ideal person, that's what we're going to discover, and that's what we're going to put you on the path to creating. Of course, this is not something that we can create in 10 weeks time, right? That's like a longer term journey, 5 years maybe. But at least I know you will be on the track into the direction. You have all the tools in your tool set. You have the team around you. And then any challenges that come, I know you will know how to deal with it and how to overcome those challenges. Yeah. One example is I used to hate structure. I used to hate lists. I used to hate being organized. And that worked for me to a certain extent, but it also stopped me in my tracks. I could not achieve a greater level of success without having structure. I'm so busy nowadays, with trading and coaching. I mean, last Sunday I was coaching 6 hours, was coaching 3 traders. It's, it's a lot. It takes a lot of energy. And then I need to take care of my health. After that, I have to go for a run and replenish. I have to write for this training. And I love it, right? I know I live life to the fullest, but I can only do it because I'm organized and getting more and more organized as well. So what is really important is that you create this kind of mindset. It's in business, we talk about it as a company culture. So what is your company culture that you want to cultivate in your personal life? What do you accept, respect, expect, not put up with? What is your personal vision, your mission, your goals, your what do you want to produce and create in life and give back to society. And so that's why it's really useful to separate your trading business plan and your personal plan as well. Run it separately, but make sure that they support each other. Now, when we do our goal setting session, this is not about the opportunity to brainstorm a lifetime of holidays on the beach, drinking, sunsets. This is just not sustainable. It's boring. It can even be harmful because a lot of people then go into artificial addictions like drugs and partying and so on, right? So there is no growth. And it's actually kind of like a life avoidance strategy, because once the holiday is done, what then? And think about it. What decisions can you make that move you forward? And I found it really interesting. I know a few traders who they retired at the age of 40, beginning of 40s, and they work still so hard. It's just crazy, because the very thing that got them to becoming so successful, that's their mindset, that's who they are, that's their beliefs and value system, and they can't just change that. So the hard work, the work ethics, the expectations they have of themselves, the high level of thinking, they don't stop that because it's who they are. And that's why they just focus it simply on a different area of life. So if you look at Bill Gates, he went into research on how to eliminate illnesses, for example. He still does the same what he did for Microsoft, but just in a different context, because it's who he is. And if you're not this kind of person right now, if you're the kind of person who is a couch potato, well, then grow into the person who has different values. And it's really, I don't understand it. Like when I ask at seminars or workshops that I run, who here has ever procrastinated, traders, they laugh, like as if it is expected from them that they would. And I can tell you, in my world, this is not expected of me. I don't expect myself to procrastinate. And I have a whole bunch of support structures in place that help me keep my rituals and keep me really disciplined and strong and not waste my life with procrastination. I just want to pass on this idea to you. If you are this person, why do you think it's funny and obvious to procrastinate? Why would you have that standard even? So dump that and adopt this new one, that if I set a goal, I'm going to act on it, because that's who I am. That's who I am as a quality person. And I hear traders say, I want to build a trading career. I want to help people. And I want to be really blunt to you. Why would you expect yourself to be able to take your losses if you're not reliable and don't follow through on your commitments outside trading? Why would you want to help other people if you can't even help yourself? What kind of role model do you want to be if you are giving up on your dreams but focus on other people instead? It's not working. And that's why I would say, if I ask you at one of my trainings who here procrastinate, please don't laugh, but face it and say, I did, and I'm going to change that. Because that minimum standard of not being a procrastinator, well, this is not possible. We are professional traders, for goodness sake. This is not acceptable. Because, I mean, just imagine, you wouldn't expect your lawyer to procrastinate on your court case, or your doctor of not following through on your when you're sick, or your baker not doing, baking bread because he can't be stuffed to wake up at 3 in the morning. No, you would be upset, right? That's hilarious, for goodness sake. So the same expectations you have on your butcher, on your phone company, on others, you have to have that for yourself. Without that, you won't be able to succeed in trading. Yeah, you can give up right now, or you can make the decision that you have higher expectations, higher standards. So let's go to what it actually is, what we are going to do when we set our goals, when we lay out our journey to successful trading, to full-time trading, I call it here. So it is about discovering your ideal self, discovering what you're made of, a step-by-step itinerary on how to create life at your terms and not being dictated by others. living a life of freedom of choice and financial freedom, and the freedom to hang out with your family if you choose to go for coffee whenever you want to, not having to ask for holidays when you want to go on a holiday. Yeah. Create goals that are in line with your vision, your mission, and your values, and cultivate that mindset like a beautiful garden. And set realistic goals and expand on them as you grow as a trader and close that gap. And if we don't know what realistic goals are, then we need to get feedback from our environment. Yeah, it's asking what is possible and what have others achieved. And it doesn't mean that you can that you can become better than them, that you can overtake them in your level of success, in your level of performance. But it's easier if you start building on your progress and not start with high, big, lofty goals. So my goals for me, trading for me, is really just a vehicle to become the person, the future self that I want to create. Now, another topic that I want to talk to you about is the reticular activating system that we all have, right? That's the part of the brain that responds to your name. Anything that threatens you and is trying to keep you safe, it alerts you to anything that you believe is relevant and that you care about. So if you don't care about funky cars, then you won't look for funky cars. You won't notice a nice car when it's parked there in front of you. If nice cars and Lamborghinis are what's important to you, then of course you notice those cars. And it's interesting when you go shopping, when you go through a shopping mall with someone, and notice what they point out to you. If they point out, oh, look at this travel agent, or look at those clothes, or they want to go to a bookshop, that tells you what's important to them in life. And if you want to buy a present for them, that tells you what kind of present you should buy them. If they say, hey, let's go to the bookshop, well, don't buy a t-shirt for them, for example, buy them a book. Really simple. It's also about paying attention to what is different and unusual. If we keep focusing on our goals and our mission statement, then our reticular activating system will search for that, like a Google search, right? So your reticular activating system simply searches for what you key into the search box. That's how simple it is, nothing else. If you look for where you suck in your trading and where your parents were right, where you can prove them right that you're worth nothing, then that is all you will get. If you punch into where am I doing well, what can I build on, and what can I improve on, well, then this is what you will find. And I remember I was so down, I had such a bad self-image on myself, in 2000, when I, such a long time ago, when I started my personal development journey, that I didn't notice how well I was doing. I thought that I'm a complete loser. And then I had to do my tax, and I was surprised that how well I was doing. Now, needless to say, I wasn't keeping any performance statistics, and I wasn't keeping a journal, because that would have been not part of my self-image, because then I would have seen that I'm actually doing pretty good, rather than proving to myself that I'm not good enough, which was a role that I was playing, the scapegoat, which we will get into further in the training. So if you get this, if you get an idea on how easy the journey can be compared to how hard most traders make it, well, then the journey becomes fun and not too challenging as most traders experience it. I see so many traders, they fall into depression, and they have this hopelessness and this helplessness, and it's painful to see. It's like, dude, you don't need to be like this. Here are the tools, here are the goals. There was a trader on Twitter recently, and he's like, oh, my trading sucks and my mindset sucks. And I said, I am happy to hop on Skype with you and give you some insights. And he said politely, thank you, piss off. So I'm like, yeah, you can offer help, but they need to want it. And obviously, no, this kind of trader is not ready to get help. So yeah, there we go. So that's your reticular activating system. Can be your best friend if you know how to use it. Cool. So again, to recap, when we do our goals, when we design our journey to full-time trading success, these are all the categories that we need to take into consideration, that we need to work on, that we need to create goals. We can see the way I started doing my goals when I started out was just wishful thinking, fluffy dreams, nothing else, nothing tangible, nothing that I could work with, nothing that would give me lead and lag measurements that would tell me how I'm progressing and what I need to work on, what I need to improve on. Yeah, so these are the areas that you need to work on if you want to succeed in trading. Very simple. Now, when we do goal setting, I always say start with the end in mind. What do you want to have achieved in your trading business in, let's say, 5 years' time? Who do you want to have become? And then we work backwards to today. What is it that I need to do today in order to be this kind of person in 5 years' time, in order to have the trading results that I want to have in 5 years' time? And it's important to have a vision, but not to get too attached to your vision, because sometimes you do need to take a detour, as I explained before. And sometimes our values change, right? So I was working with this guy and he was all gung-ho and he was doing really well. And then his girlfriend that he just had met like 5 months ago got pregnant, and his whole life changed. And he was excited, and suddenly he realized now he will have to take care of a family and of a little, of a little life that's growing. So we had to change his goals tremendously to adjust to the new life circumstances. And again, there's nothing wrong. It's just about being honest with yourself and about being realistic, and then using whatever happens and making it the best that can happen to you, that could have happened to you. That also works the opposite when you have stuffed up, when you have done some really bad decisions. Use that as well and say, I really stuffed up here, and I can't believe I did that, but what I'm going to do with this occurrence, I'm going to turn it into the best thing that ever happened to me, and turn it into something like a driving force that makes me so successful and will help me to contribute to other people as well. So what is really important, guys, is that you can say, oh, this training was great information, and you put it back on the shelf and into your insights and knowledge, and feel good about having listened to the training. But I tell you, this is not where the change occurs. And that's why so many traders that come to me that say, I've read all the books, I've done all the trainings, webinars, and still nothing changes. So yes, because what you have done is you have focused on the safe problems. And in the Fierce10 training, I will explain to you what the difference is between safe problems and risky problems. And so you have focused on the safe problems that will change nothing. We need to look at the risky problems, what's underneath your lack of discipline. So a safe problem is trying to fix lack of discipline. Traders come to me and say, I'm not disciplined, I'm not patient, please fix me. It's like, that's not how it works. What is the driving force of that behavioral pattern? That's what we need to change. And then you being disciplined and patient comes naturally to you. It's not something that you need willpower for. So yeah, guys, that training, that part of the training was really the part where you read about what to do. Now you need to start implementing. You need to start actually sitting down and doing the writing down your goals, writing down your dreams, writing down the action steps, and writing down your milestones. And you can do that on your own, or you can do that with me in the Fierce10 training, of course. Now, one hint that I want to give you when it comes to creating your personal goals is look at the wheel of life. So I compartmentalized my life into categories, and also my trading. And so I can work on each area that needs work on. I have pretty much focused on trading and my coaching business. So I would say I'm pretty much an 8, 9 here in Korean business. but then my health and well-being has suffered. That's a 2 or 3. I've gained a lot of weight. I'm out of shape. I'm really not the person that I want to be. That's according to my values. So I know I need to work on improving, increasing the 2 to a 3, to a 4, to a 5, so that I get up to an 8 or 9 as well. And doing that without dropping my ball in career and business. So keeping the level of standard up in that area of my life whilst increasing the other area of my life. And that is pretty much for all areas. Family and friends, I know they suffer when we start on our trading journey, and often they're supportive, but it's really important, guys, especially when you have young kids. You need to make time for your kids and spend with your family, because otherwise you'll regret it. So make yourself a wheel of life for your trading business as well. So for each area, compartmentalize again what you need to do in order to progress on those areas. So I want to tell you a little bit about the Fierce 10 challenge. If you're not interested now, just drop off. That's okay. So I'm running this training, the Fierce 10, where I'm going to give you all the tools that you need in order to design your journey to successful trading, where we create your business plan and your goals together, where I will give you feedback, where we also work on your challenges together. So I don't want to talk too much about it. You can get it all on highperformancetrading.com.au and read it up there. Would be great if you join me, and I want to help as many traders as possible, because to be honest, it's heartbreaking how much money traders lose and how much money brokers make, and I want to change that. I want to change that and help as many traders as possible to live the dream life as well, because I know the more traders I help, the more traders they can help, and that will help make this world a better place. So guys, that's it from me. Thank you very much for listening. And here, as always, I finish up with my favorite quote: every successful trader has a dark past, and every losing trader has a bright future. And now is the perfect time to start afresh and create a brand new ending. Thank you so much.